Entitled parents hide the goods their kids stole in their room to prevent them from getting caught. Here's another story showcasing my boyfriend's cousins and her parents' entitlement. You know these people from this post and this update. My BF told me this story from the time his paternal uncle lost his job along with the residence that had been provided by the company. They couldn't afford to rent the kind of home they had gotten accustomed to, so my BF parents invited them, uncle, aunt, and their daughter and son, to stay with them, until the uncle found another job. Their house had 2 spare bedrooms, one would be occupied by the aunt and uncle, the other by their children. We'll call this family the Entitled League. There's Wanted Woman, the aunt, Asshole Man, the uncle, Hog Girl, girl cousin, and Mindborg, boy cousin. Hog Girl and Mindborg were, and still are, the most obnoxious, entitled brats you've ever seen. Their parents not only encouraged their bad behavior, but even bragged about it. For example, my kids are used to getting what they want, my kids know how to get their way. Sometimes they refuse to go to school if they're not given at least 50 rupees for their lunch. This was the late 90s, and at that time, 50 rupees was a pretty big amount for a kid. This lets you know just how fucked up this family was. While they stayed in my BF's parents' home, their entitlement refused to be suppressed. Their kids would make a mess around the house, something my BF and his sister never did. They were rude, noisy, and pretty much the opposite of what my BF's parents were raising him and his sister, whom we'll call Shania, to be. Hog Girl, the woman you read about at the linked posts, would often mock Shania for enjoying things that they thought were only for boys, such as superhero comics, video games, etc. Now, onto the incident, which I like to call Crisis of Infinite Entitlement. My boyfriend loved to collect action figures and his sister was obsessed with DC Comics. She also had this camcorder her parents had given her, on which she liked to record herself singing. Hog Girl would often mess with it, even though she had been told not to touch it. Shortly after the Entitled League moved in, BF's action figure and Shania's comics began to disappear one by one. When asked if they had seen them or knew of their whereabouts, the Entitled League would immediately become defensive and would accuse BF and his sister of being careless with their things. As BF's parents didn't want any unpleasantness in their home, they told their children that they must have misplaced their things and to not make a fuss about it. The tipping point came when Shania's camcorder went missing. It was her most prized possession and she was livid. She was convinced that Hog Girl and or Mindborg had taken it. When the parents got home that evening, she asked for the Hog Girl and Mindborg's room to be searched. To their surprise, Hog Girl and Mindborg agreed to this. Their rooms were searched but nothing was found. Wanted Woman and Asshole Man decided to use this opportunity to shame BF's sister for being a liar and for trying to get her cousins in trouble, and admonished BF's parents for raising such disrespectful children. By now, Shania was shedding tears of rage and helplessness. My boyfriend was only 9 at the time, but stood by his sister firmly, telling everyone that she would never lie and that he had seen Hog Girl tinkering with the camcorder many times. But of course, he was told to be quiet and to never talk back to grown-ups. Shania caught Hog Girl smirking triumphantly, and amidst all her anger, an idea popped into her mind. She asked for Wanted Woman and Asshole Man's room to be searched. Hog Girl's smirk disappeared and Wanted Woman began screaming like a banshee about how she could possibly suggest such a thing. After much hue and cry and a lot of argument from both sides, BF's parents decided to search the room. The whole time Wanted Woman and Asshole Man were going on and on about how this was no way to treat family and did they think they were criminals, etc, etc, etc. At long last the camcorder, along with several comics and action figures, were found in the closet. Asshole Man tried to convince BF's dad that they belonged to his kids. Unfortunately for him, both BF and Shania had a habit of writing their initials on their possessions, something their parents had taught them. The comic books, the action figures and the camcorder all had BF and Shania's initials on them. Either Hog Girl and her brother knew their rooms would be searched and had hidden the things in their parents' room, or the parents had always been in on it and it was their idea. Wanted Woman began fake crying, claiming that her sweet children were traumatized because their dad had lost their job and normally they wouldn't do something like this. And how in their time of need, her kids deserved to be able to take a few things. BF's parents were having none of it. They told the Entitled League that they had a week to move out. BF's dad offered to help them financially, which he actually did, but they could no longer stay in their home. Not only had their kids stolen things, they actually tried to cover up the kids' crime and made Shania cry just to protect their brats. Wanted and asshole again tried to pull the We're family shtick. When that didn't work, they tried the but she's a girl, why does she read comics? It didn't get them anywhere and ultimately they were kicked out. BF's parents, even after everything these parasites had done, helped them find a new place and even paid half of the rent until asshole man got another job. Shockingly, or perhaps not so shockingly, the Entitled League continued to claim that they had been treated unfairly.